Welcome to this episode of the Coach Cast. My name is Zach Canaliche. Alongside me today is Luke Sharrock, and across the table from us is not only volleyball anymore, women's volleyball coach Megan Lenhart. Megan, good morning.
Good morning.
So, Cornerstone has had a very good women's volleyball team for a long time. You took over this team 2 years ago now?
This is my second season.
Second season. What should their fan base know about you?
Well, I'm very blessed to be a part of that history. I played in the program from 2000 to 2003, graduated from Cornerstone in '04. Um, just had a great experience being a player here at Cornerstone. We were very successful during that time. It was pretty much us and Madonna kind of fighting for the championships during the early 2000s, and we either won the regular season or the tournament every year that I was a part of the program, which was a pretty amazing accomplishment. And just have always had a heart for Cornerstone, and have been very, very blessed to be back leading the program and trying to make sure that the things that I value most are prominent in what we do every day.
That's awesome. So, looking back, you're a Cornerstone graduate. What was your experience like here? I mean, it's so different probably as a coach from a student. What did Cornerstone do for your life?
Oh my goodness. So, my path here to Cornerstone was certainly God ordained. I grew up in a very small town in Indiana. The only thing I was really looking for when I was looking at colleges was I wanted to move out of Indiana. That was the only stipulation. And through my senior year, not a lot of opportunities were coming up. Volleyball honestly wasn't like a priority for me to play. I had reached out to one school in Kentucky to play at. They just kind of were attractive to me with who was coaching them and their program. And lo and behold, the assistant coach at the time at that school ended up coming here to be the head coach at Cornerstone, and she had my name in her file. And so late into my senior year, she was contacting potential student athletes for a recruit weekend here at Cornerstone, and I was one of them. I'm like, sure, I'll go check it out. It sounds cool. I honestly had never been to Michigan, didn't know anything about Grand Rapids, wasn't necessarily looking for a Christian school. But when I came to visit, just fell in love with the team, the city, the campus, and just was excited to have the opportunity to grow in my faith. I didn't really know that was an opportunity. No one was really selling that. A lot of kids that come to Cornerstone are from families where generation after generation has just gone to a Christian school, and it's kind of in their blood, whether it's that was their grade school and high school experience or just their family's experience. So it was all very, very new to me. In addition to that, I grew up in a church that had very different sacraments, the way that we celebrated different sacraments. It's actually a Friends church. Is from the Quaker religion, or not religion, but denomination. And they're very much about just the personal relationship with Jesus. So they don't celebrate physical communion or water baptism, things like that. So coming to Cornerstone, I was just my eyes were open to so many new things, people raising their hands in worship and visiting different churches in the area and getting to see people take communion and how personal that could be. There was so much that happened during my 4 years, not to mention my teammates that were just a dream to play with. We were so competitive. We loved winning. We just loved competing and winning, and we were constantly competing in practice, and then that translated into how we played on the court, and we just all gelled so well. My teammates have become my family. We have lived life together the last 20 years. I could scroll through text messages, group messages where, the conversations are very, very active and alive, and I could not be more thankful to Cornerstone for giving me those friends and the experiences that I've had to grow in my faith.
So all those new experiences, what was it like exploring all of that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, college is a lot. Like you're just learning so much about yourself. It's kind of your first, for most kids, it's their first time being on their own and adulting in a way. So to compound that with, growing in your Christian faith, that's a lot to kind of deal with. So I would say college was certainly an overwhelming time because I was just challenged in so many ways, whether they were personally or spiritually. I don't actually remember your original question or where I was going, but it was it was so fun and so hard at the same time. That's really honestly the best way to describe it. College is an amazing time in life. And honestly, it's why I do what I do. I love having a front row seat and just playing a small part in my players' journey and hopefully helping them walk through that in the best way that they can because they are dealing with a lot.
Mm, that's very true. Speaking outside of volleyball
Hmm.
for a little, what's your personal life like? Who are you? Who is Megan Lenhart outside of this Cornerstone Athletics building and the volleyball head coach?
Yeah, well, I'm a wife. I'm married to Chris. We've been married for 7.5 years. And then we have 3 kids. I have a first grader, Alexandra. I have a 4.5-year-old, Isaac, and I have a almost 17-month-old, Oliver. So, yeah, wife and mom to a great, great family. My kids are super fun and active. My husband and I love camping. We have a trailer. We take our family camping as much as we can during the summer. We're actually super grateful for the fall and not having volleyball because we've never gotten to camp in the fall. So we did an outing a couple weeks ago and we're going again this weekend. So it's been fun to have some new camping memories. We also like gardening. So we do a lot outside in our garden, a lot of canning, which I can get into if you'd like.
Please do.
Um,
The floor is open for you.
yeah, we've canned like at least 100 jars this summer and fall, which is super fun. Um, I like reading. I don't read a ton right now during the fall. It's usually like a summer activity or a quarantining activity. um, and we like some TV. We are Survivor fans, which is super sad that we don't have that to watch right now.
Mm.
And we are binging The West Wing right now. If you've never watched The West Wing, it's a classic political show about office of the president and his staff, and it's super fun to watch right now in conjunction with what's happening in the world. And I love to bake. I love to cook. I'm pretty domestic when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, I also like to work out. I teach here at Cornerstone. I teach weight training in our volleyball class. So yeah, that's me.
How is it teaching weight training? Is this your first time teaching?
I taught all last year, so
Okay.
this is my third semester teaching. It's fun. I like putting together fun workouts for the students and helping them hopefully enjoy moving their bodies and understanding that that's a way to glorify God
Mm.
and just giving them some tools to stay active during whatever maybe they're freshmen and have more time at Cornerstone, or if they're graduating they have some tools to stay active as they get into real life.
Now I'm just curious. I love to work out as well. I
Hmm.
love fitness and all that stuff. How do you glorify God through that?
You just do the best you
Mm.
can. I think God gave us bodies to move and to stay active, and so finding things that you love in order to do that, I think makes Him super happy. I don't, not that I'm I don't say this in a judgmental way, but I don't think that God's super pleased when we do sit around and watch TV day after day after day, or don't think about the food that we're putting into our bodies. I think that He wants us to respect the body that He's given us and the healthier our physical body is, I think the better we are in our other roles, the better wife I am, the better coach I am, the better mom I am. So I think that he does make that a priority and that we should as well.
That's an amazing perspective on
Yeah.
that. What do you bake? I heard baking
Yeah.
is a thing.
I
What is the
bake,
go-to?
I can bake pretty much anything. I mean, there's usually muffins or bread in the house. I bake like homemade bread when we have soup. I bake some pretty killer peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. I mean, we had apple crisp this week. Like, there's a lot of baking going on in the house. Yeah.
Clearly your kids benefit from this, but this might put you on a rough spot. Does the volleyball team benefit
Oh
from your
yes,
baking?
yes. I mean, in fact, I mean, I coached at another school for 9 seasons, and I'm pretty close to several of those players, and they came over this summer for zucchini bread. Like they got a lot of benefit from that, and the Cornerstone girls are getting that already too.
Where did you coach before
I
Cornerstone?
was at Davenport University.
Very nice. And that's quite a different atmosphere. What's been the biggest differences coming over from Davenport to Cornerstone?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean I knew what to expect because I was a student here. Davenport was a great place for me to have my first head coaching experience. I got to take a very young program; it had only been in existence for 4 seasons, and help to build that program into a conference contender, and even help them in their transition to NCAA Division II. Yeah, and just really enjoyed what I was able to do for that program. Yeah, it's just I mean completely different goals in terms of the university. They are focused very specifically on degrees that are going to translate right into careers right away. So a lot of business, a lot of technology, a lot of health careers that you can dive into. Not as much like campus community, although that does still exist. So yeah, it's just different. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with different at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
What was that transition from NAIA to D2 like? Was it that big of a difference? Was there like a difference in recruiting only, or what was that like?
Yeah, so competitively, I just describe it. I don't feel like the top is that much greater than the top of NAIA. It's just that the depth is much deeper. So from the top to the bottom of the NAIA is a pretty drastic difference in competitive level, and in Division Two, you just don't see that. So in our conference, it was like you got to be on every game. I felt like anybody could win on any given day. So in the WAC, I would say there's a little bit more of a diversity and ability and competitive level. So that was the biggest difference. Recruiting wise, there are certainly more restrictions and just rules to follow when you're in the NCAA and day to day things that we had to take care of, like a little more paperwork and guidelines to follow. Timing maybe was a little quicker when it came to recruiting in terms of, offering and getting commitments a little sooner, but not too drastically different.
That's awesome. So, look, to wrap up this podcast, just one final time, not even just looking at Cornerstone, but specifically the parents of your players, their families. What do you want them to know about you when they see you on the sideline this spring?
Yeah, I think um, that's a great question. I think that the biggest thing that I tell recruits' families when we're sitting down is that their their kid's going to be coached by someone who cares about their whole person, not just that they're becoming a great volleyball player. I want them to be learning lessons for life to help them be great wives and great moms and great employees. So I really strive to do that in every aspect of my coaching. So yeah, they're going to get someone who truly cares and loves for their kid and is looking out for their best interest in all areas of their lives.
That's awesome. Megan, thank you for joining us today, and good luck in the spring with volleyball.
Thank
This has
you.
been the Coach Cast.